What's up, guys? It's your boy John Swan here. I'm bringing this YouTube video here for you because this guy right here on the screen is an absolute moron. Um, as you can tell from this tier list, he has the Cowboys in S tier. Apparently, they have an elite defense, which is kind of funny to me. Uh, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm going to make my own tier list. I have it right here ready to go. I have my boy Chris here with me. He might chime in on some things. We'll see what happens. But this tier list, it's just laughable, in my opinion. Now, obviously, other people are probably going to have other opinions, but that is what it is. I'm a very neutral football fan. I love football in general. My favorite team is the Washington football team. They have the old skin logo here. But I'm a very neutral football fan. I know when my team sucks. I know when my team is not very good. I'm not a delusional fan. Most of my friends are delusional fans. But we're going to just hop right into it. So pretty much how I'm going to do the tier list is I'll just go down with each team here. S tier is the best teams in the NFL. A tier are like teams that are super good and they're probably 100% going to make the playoffs next year. The B tier is teams that are always in the running for the playoff talk, and possibly, they could possibly win the division, or they'll most likely win the division, I should say. C tier are like the average teams, like they can make a playoff run, they could possibly win their division. It just depends on what they do. D tier is bad, and F tier it's just laughable. So if I put the Bengals in A tier and I keep them here in the front, they're the better teams from the other teams from here on. So if I put the Colts here, then I have the Bengals in front. The Bengals are better than the Colts, just so it's clarified. So we'll start off with the Bengals. Um, since the draft hasn't happened yet, I'm going strictly on what they've done in free agency and what they did last year. Joe Burrow showed a lot of promise before he hurt his knee and got absolutely just destroyed by the Washington defense, by the way. Shout out to them. I'm going to put them in F tier. I'll probably make another video remaking this list after the draft, depending on how teams go about with what they need on their teams and if they hit or if they don't hit. But right now, I'll put the Bengals in F tier. We're going to go with the Colts next. I'm going to put them in A tier. They were a really good football team last year. Their defense was super good. I'm pretty sure they were a top 5 defense. They also got Carson Wentz. I think Carson Wentz is a really good quarterback. I think he had a down year with Philadelphia. Also, if you look at the weapons that he was throwing to in Philadelphia, that was laughable. Also, no O-line. That was also laughable. He was in a very, very bad situation that he should not have been in. I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. And if he ever gets back to MVP form, I think he can get into the top 5. But with their addition of Carson Wentz, I definitely think they go from B to A. If they still had Phillip Rivers, I'd probably put them in B. But since they got Carson Wentz, I'm putting them up here in A. I think they'll 100% make the playoffs next year. They've kept everybody on their defense, and they're super good. So I'm putting them in A tier. San Francisco. San Francisco. I'm gonna put them. I'll put them in C tier. And the reason I'm gonna put them in C tier is because they traded up for the number 3 pick, most likely to get Trey Lance, unless they know something that nobody else knows, like the Jets are going to not take Zach Wilson, and they have a chance at Zach Wilson. I think it was kind of absurd for them to trade up to number 3 for Trey Lance because I feel like he could fall to them. It's a possibility, especially after Justin Fields' pro day. I feel like the top, like in order, like with other people, like with other analysts and other teams, the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft right now is probably 100% Trevor Lawrence at 1, Zach Wilson 2, Justin Fields 3, and then Trey Lance 4. So I've heard rumors that they traded up to number 3 to get Mac Jones, and if that's true, I might cry and laugh. But the reason I'm putting them in C tier is because a lot of their elite players last year, like Nick Bosa, he completely tore his ACL, and that's kind of a hard injury to come back from, especially for a lineman. Um, if he comes back like at 100%, I think another one of their D linemen, like one of their good D linemen, tore his ACL too. I forget who it was, but like if everybody who got hurt last year comes back and plays at the level that they were playing the year before, I think they're 100% a B team. But until I see them actually play and see what they do in the draft, I'm going to put them at C. They're probably going to be the top C team, and again, C is like average teams that can make the playoffs, like they're there. Like they're the middle of the hump teams, like 9-7, 10-6, looking in to make the playoffs or possibly going to the playoffs as a wild card team. The Chicago Bears, they got the Red Rifle, good old Red Rifle. I'm probably definitely going to put them in C. They need help on the O line. They need another receiver. They lost Kyle Fuller, who was their best corner. He's been one of the best corners in the NFL for the last few years. So they're going to need to hit in the draft on that too, probably. I just don't know how good they're going to be. I think Andy Dalton brings a rocket arm to the team, like somebody who's not afraid to throw it up. He's not afraid to throw a few interceptions because he's the type of quarterback who's going to throw for 300, 350 yards. 3 or 4 touchdowns and maybe 1 or 2 picks a game. When he was on point in Cincinnati, he was averaging 4,500 passing yards this season, 40 touchdowns, and like 14 interceptions. So that's the type of quarterback Andy Dalton is. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just think right now he's a bridge quarterback for them this year. That's why they signed him. They did make the playoffs last year, I think at 8-8 or 9-7. I forget their record. But they did make the playoffs, and they played the Saints close for the most part. The defense played well. It was just Mitchell Trubisky and that noodle arm that wasn't getting the job done. Depending on what they do in the draft, maybe I'll move them up to B. Same thing with San Francisco. But we'll just have to see. Now we're here with Green Bay. I think Green Bay is an A tier. I could put them in S tier because of Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not going to do that. They're always a team that is always in the playoff talk, always in the playoff hunt. I'm putting them in A tier because Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, their O-line's always naturally good. Their pass defense with Jareer Alexander, and the rush with Zadarius Smith, like, they're always good. Their biggest problem is their run defense. I think they need to hit on another wide receiver. They need to give Aaron Rodgers another weapon. You give him another weapon, the offense is virtually going to be unstoppable. I also think they need to get good run defenders because that's been a problem in Green Bay for I think the last 6 or 7 years. They haven't had a good run defense, and this is dating all the way back to when they used to play Colin Kaepernick in the playoffs. Didn't have a good run defense, and they got smoked every time. And I think they really need to hit on some good run defenders, whether that is on the D line or whether that is addressing linebacker. But we'll just have to see. The Arizona Cardinals, they have made some pretty decent moves. I'll probably put them above Chicago. But I'm definitely going to put them in C tier because they haven't made the playoffs since Carson Palmer was there and Bruce Arians. I don't know if I'm on board with Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's a good coach. But they started out super hot last year when Kyler Murray was in the MVP talk in the MVP race. But as soon as Kyler Murray slowed down, the entire team slowed down. I think they did a lot of good things, like bringing in. Did they bring in Kyle Fuller, Chris? I think they did, didn't they? No, that was Denver that brought in Kyle Fuller. They brought in AJ Green, another weapon for Kyler Murray. They brought in JJ Watt, which is fantastic, and that adds another pass rush to their D line. They're getting Chandler Jones back. I think he had a season-ending injury last year. They're getting Chandler Jones back. If they use Isaiah Simmons properly, They have really good defense, like whether they use him at linebacker.
They're my favorite safety in the league.
Yeah, they have Buda Baker. Buda Baker
Yeah.
is elite. Buda Baker is 100% elite. I think they can make the playoffs. I don't
And
think
that's
they're
coming from
quite.
a Pittsburgh fan too. I mean, he's Buddha's what he's saying.
Yeah, I think they could be B tier, but until I actually see them make the playoffs, they're C tier. Seattle A tier. They're always going to be A tier with Russell Wilson. Their defense isn't very good. Jamal Adams, one of the biggest overrated safeties in the league. He can't cover for shit. The only thing he's really good at doing is run stopping. Um, and he runs his mouth a lot. He's an idiot. Russell Wilson, he is that entire team. And what they need to do in this year's draft is they need to hit on O-line. They need to get somebody to protect Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has been the most sacked quarterback since coming into the league, and that needs to change. If they could give Russell Wilson more time, instead of making the hero plays and forcing him to make hero plays constantly, I think that I think they'll be a very good team offensively. They need to hit a little bit on defense. They lost Shaquem Griffin to Jacksonville, and uh, I think they need to try to hit on corner maybe in the second round, unless there's a good corner that's still on the board for them in the first round, and they should 100% go there because I think that the O line is pretty deep this year, so they can get some good value in the second and third rounds, maybe even the fourth round for O line. But because Russ Wilson's on the team, it's going to be A for me. Houston, terrible. We're going to Jacksonville now.
Put them behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah. No. The first is. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Get them as far back as
Yeah,
possible.
as far back as possible. I think.
Put them back down. Put them back down.
I think Houston is the worst team in the league. Their organization is an absolute dumpster fire. Deshaun Watson is not playing there 100%. He is not going to play there next season, whether it's because he's in prison or whether because he's going to retire or he might sit out an entire year. He's made up his mind. He doesn't want to play for Houston. He wants out of Houston. Now I don't know where he'll go. I can make another video for that where me and Chris and maybe somebody else will talk about the possibilities of where he goes. But Houston's an absolute dumpster fire. They did absolutely nothing in free agency. They brought in all these special team players and backup players to essentially be starters. And most of them, there's a reason they're special teams and backup because they're not ready to start yet. Now, don't get me wrong, coming in this season, and starting and getting, burnt every play or not being able to get off if you're a D lineman, not being able to get off the offensive line's block, they could obviously get better at the end of the year and then turn into being better players in their career. But right now, Houston did absolutely nothing in free agency. I'm interested to see what they do in the draft because honestly, if they hit in the draft, they're still going to be F tier. They're not going to D. They're not going to D because they're going to lose Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's not playing there. But depending on what they do in in the draft, I might move them up. But I don't know. Jacksonville. Um, Jacksonville's a very interesting team. They have Urban Myers.
Would you move them to D just because of Trevor Lawrence? Like I would.
Yeah, I would. I would move them to D just because of Trevor Lawrence. Like we know they're going to draft Trevor Lawrence, but just for the sake of another video, I'll wait for that. Right now they're F tier because they don't have Trevor Lawrence. They have Minshew mania. I don't think Minshew's a bad quarterback. I just don't think. I think for Minshew to be good, he needs to be in the right system, and I just don't think Jacksonville was the system for him. They have James Robinson, who was a breakout running back last year. I think if they get another running back to complement him, which I think they did. I think they got Carlos Hyde in the free agency, which is a good pickup. But if they get like another running back like late in this year's draft, let that guy develop for a year or two until Carlos Hyde's gone, so he can come in with James Robinson. But I think we all know what they're doing with the number one pick. I think they're 100% drafting Trevor Lawrence. I don't think there's a way in hell that they're not. I think they're 100% going to draft Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence is a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. And I think with Trevor Lawrence alone, they are guaranteed 5 wins with him alone. So And they also brought in Shaquem Griffin, which I think was a great pickup. Um, they brought in another corner. They have C.J. Henderson, who was a rookie last year, and I don't really think he played all that bad. Um, so they have two starting caliber corners on that defense. So I think realistically in the draft this year, like we know they're drafting Trevor Lawrence. Outside of that, I think they need to hit on edge rushers. They need somebody that can help Josh Allen um, rush the football player. They have a lot of good run stoppers on the D line, but maybe if they brought in another edge rusher, they need safety. They need safety help too, but the safeties are super deep in this draft, late round. Um, so I can definitely see myself putting Jacksonville to bad, like to D tier, um, in the next video, depending on what they do in the draft. But the Chargers, I'm going to put them in C tier. I don't think they're bad. I think Justin Herbert was the best quarterback drafted in last year's draft, and I think he
100%,
kind of showed that. And
without a doubt.
I think really what they need is a little bit of help on defense. And obviously, I think their coaching situation was really bad. I don't think Anthony Lynn was that good of a coach. I think that the new coach coming in, I think, is going to bring a new spark to the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. I definitely think they need to hit on edge rusher in the draft, but probably in the second or third round. I think they just need to get somebody who's going to protect Justin Herbert. So in the first round, I'd like to see them go O-line. But I definitely think they're C tier. They're probably bottom of the barrel C tier. I don't think they're like playoff caliber yet. But Cowboys, I'm putting them in C tier. I'll give my respect to Dak. I think Dak is 100% a top 10 quarterback. They have probably one of the best, if not the best, receiving corps in the league with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. They have probably a top 15 O line. What really holds Dallas back is their defense, and they did do some good things.
I can't believe we're putting them that high.
They did do some things in free agency for the defense, but I don't think it's enough to put them into B tier.
If you're gonna put their asses in D tier, I swear.
I'm not putting them in D tier. They're definitely a C tier team with Dak. But they definitely need to hit on defense. With the 10th pick, if they don't draft Caleb Farley or Patrick Surtain, I will be mind blown. I think that's what they need to hit on, and I think they also need to hit on some edge rushers. They were virtually one of the worst, if not the worst, defense last year. They were on pace of giving up the most yards in NFL history last year, and they need corner help. They need safety help, which they kind of addressed safety help. I forget who they signed, but I know they signed somebody from Detroit, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. I want to say it was Detroit, maybe Atlanta. I don't know. But I'm putting them C tier. New York, C tier. But I'm putting them in front of Dallas. I think New York did a lot of good things in free agency. I believe in Danny Dimes. I don't think Danny Dimes is bad. Daniel Jones.
So let me understand. So is Dallas going to be at the end of your C tier?
No, Chargers are. Chargers would be at the end of my C tier. The Cowboys being like with them though.
Interesting.
But New York, they did a lot of good things. They brought in Kenny Golladay, a weapon for Daniel Jones. Saquon's coming back from injury. They added a lot of defensive pieces. I think their defense is going to be pretty good. That was their strength last year. Their defense played pretty good at the last 6 or 7 games of the year, and that's why they were in the playoff hunt at 6-10. But I think they just got. I just think they got better. That's exactly what they did. They got better. I think New York and Washington are the two teams that are probably going to be competing for the NFC East, depending on how Dak comes back from his ankle injury. But I think New York and Washington are the teams competing for the division. But we'll see. Also, depending on if they hit in the draft, I think they need to get O-line in the draft. And if they get O-line, then fantastic. They're doing good. I also think they need to get maybe another edge rusher. and definitely a linebacker. Um, they signed an Alabama linebacker. I forget his name. I think his name's like Rashawn something or Raquan. But they signed him, and that's a good, you know, bridge linebacker to have for 2 years. If you think that you can't get one in this year's draft, there's always some next year and the year after that. But um, they definitely need to address edge rusher and linebacker and O line in this year's draft. The Panthers put them in D. First bad team. They weren't technically terrible last year. Christian McCaffrey was hurt for most of the season. I think if he plays, they're probably a 5 or 6 win team. Um, Teddy Bridgewater got that huge contract and really didn't play all that good. He also played hurt for some of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields, if he fell, if they drafted Justin Fields. But I think Panthers, they probably need another corner, linebacker, O-line help, and a quarterback. That's what they'll need to, try to get up here to see. So that's the Panthers. The Saints, B tier. They lost Drew Brees, but I think
Kind of.
yeah, kind of. They kind of lost Drew Brees. He's still going to be there on the coaching staff. I think Jameis Winston playing behind Drew Brees, I think that's honestly made him better. Out of what I saw out of Jameis Winston the few times that he came in and played, he didn't look
He
bad.
played well
Yeah,
when he came in, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be that 30 for 30 guy. Don't get me wrong, that was still pretty impressive. 30 for 30 was still impressive. But I don't think you'll see famous Jameis, going 30 for 30 anymore. I think what the Saints need to do in this year's draft is they probably need to hit on their defense for sure. Their defense, they need another corner, probably a safety, maybe another linebacker, definitely another edge rusher, D tackle that can stop the run. Maybe also get another running back so Alvin Kamara doesn't have to do all the fucking work. So definitely putting them in B tier. This is my favorite team to talk about because I have a friend that I argue with all the time about the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles are an absolute dumpster fire. Like, probably just as bad as Houston, but obviously Houston is just in their own league.
No, yeah, they're still on the page. I would literally just put Houston in the bin.
Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts is not good. He did not show me anything at all when he played. When he played against one of the worst defenses in the league, the Arizona Cardinals, he threw under 50% passing. He had a few big plays, and I think he rushed for over 100 yards. Sure, that's impressive, but you play the quarterback position. You don't play the running back position. You play the quarterback position. You need to average at least 60-65% completion percentage in the NFL.
Now we're gonna have a topic later.
Yeah, we will. But Jalen Hurts, he's definitely not going to be the answer. I can tell you that right now. Philadelphia, they also, I don't know what they're doing. They were at pick 6, and they traded down to pick 12. They had a chance at a big-time receiving playmaker, and honestly, I don't think they have a chance in hell at getting him now. Like, you had a chance at Jamar Chase, you had a chance at Devontae Adams and Jalen Waddle. All three of them are going to be off the board. You also had a chance at Micah Parsons. I think he goes off the board. Like Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, probably going off the board too before pick 12. Like, they had a chance to actually make a really, really good pick, and they didn't do it. Like, Howie Roseman, he should have been fired.
Like, what the fuck is their what is their plan?
I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what their plan is. Maybe they traded for those first round picks to go after Deshaun Watson. Maybe, maybe that's why they're stacking up on those first rounders. I don't know, but they have no quarterback. They have no running back. Miles Sanders is consistently hurt. They don't have no running back behind him. Their O line is atrocious. Their receiving core is laughable. Their defense is laughable. It's atrocious. There's nothing really good on the defense. Maybe Darius Slay, but one corner is not going to help you make stops. Like, the Eagles they're a huge dumpster fire. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like 2-14 with Houston next year.
I'm surprised they didn't make a move for James Conner. That way, whenever he's injured, Sanders can go in and get injured.
Right. We're gonna go with Minnesota. I'm putting Minnesota here in C tier. Minnesota's not a bad football team. Their defense is kind of bad. Their DBs are terrible. They need to hit on DB in the draft. Also another edge rusher. Also an O-line. Maybe a safety. Kirk Cousins, he's not a bad quarterback. He's probably a top 12 quarterback. They have top 5 quarterback in Dalvin Cook, or running back, sorry, not quarterback. And Dalvin Cook, the running back, she's definitely a top 5 running back. Justin Jefferson came out on the scene last year and played phenomenal as a rookie receiver. They have Adam Thielen. They have Irv Smith. Maybe they need to get another wide receiver, another weapon for Kirk Cousins, so he can, continue to be above average. But Mike Zimmer, this is probably his last year if they don't win a playoff game. I think he might be on the hot seat. But Minnesota, I'm definitely putting them in C tier. Buffalo, A tier. Putting Buffalo in A tier. Josh Allen made strides.
I like that team a lot.
Yes, they made strides. Their defense is the only thing that really scares me, but they have Stephon Diggs.
I think their defense is good. They just need a little bit of interior lineman. That's it.
Yeah, they need an edge rush. An edge rush and somebody who can stop the run. But they have Josh Allen. Their O-line's really good. The running back situation is a little weird. I think they go by running back with committee because I think I saw like 4 different running backs have 70-plus rushing yards in like 6 different games. Like I don't know. The receiving core is like super underrated. They have Stephon Diggs, Cole. What's his name?
Beasley.
Cole Beasley. Yeah, they have Cole Beasley. They probably need another receiver too, which the receivers so deep in this draft. I'm sure they'll draft one.
They need somebody bigger that can get open in the red zone a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like a Rashad Bateman or something like that.
Yeah.
But they're definitely A tier. Their corners are super good. I think their safeties. Their safeties are. I would say that's probably the best safety tandem in the league with what's his name? Michael Hyde and I forget their strong safety's name. I'm such a fan of him too. Pryor, I think. But that's definitely the best safety tandem in the league there. But they probably should hit on edge rusher. Probably a defensive tackle that can stop the run, another corner, and definitely a wide receiver that can help, Josh Allen in the red zone. But Buffalo definitely an A-tier team right now. I'm putting Miami. What the fuck? I'm putting New England B tier. They did a lot this year in free agency. I think their team obviously got way better. I don't really think Cam Newton's the answer for them. I think he's just a bridge guy. I wouldn't put it past New England drafting honestly, I think at pick 15 they're probably drafting Kyle Pitts if he's available. But I wouldn't put it past them if at pick 15 they pick Mac Jones if he's on the board. Like just to sit behind one full year, sit behind Cam Newton. Cam Newton didn't really start playing bad until after his COVID situation. But I think they made a lot of moves to make the defense better and a lot of moves to try to make the offense better. I think they definitely need to hit on corner because they're not going to have Stephon Gilmore. The rumors are they're trying to trade him, and he definitely won't be back after this year. J.C. Jackson, if he somehow gets snagged, they'll have to replace him. Probably safety too. McCourty is getting older. Devin McCourty is getting older. I think Patrick Chung just retired, so they need a strong safety. I think the running back situation's set, and they obviously need a quarterback. Broncos, putting them in D. Broncos, I think, have one of the youngest, high-potentialed offenses in the NFL. I think if Drew Lock stays healthy, he can be a good quarterback. They have Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Tim Patrick at wide receiver. Those 3 receivers are super, super good. The running back, Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay. I like that tandem. They need to get the O-line a little bit better for Drew Lock, and their defense obviously needs to get better. I think they need to hit on edge rusher and probably another safety. I think Justin Simmons is a really good safety. I think he gets the job done. They brought in Kyle Fuller, which was super good for corner. I think with their pick, the 9th pick, I think they take Caleb Farley and they solidify that secondary. That secondary will be super good. I think Denver is actually a team. After I see what they do in the draft, I can put them in B tier. A team that can definitely make a running for a playoffs, or maybe like top C tier. But for now, I'll put them in D tier. The Rams, they're a B tier team. The Rams, they got Matthew Stafford. I think that's a way bigger upgrade than Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford is way better. The running back situation is a little weird to me. I like Cooper Kupp. I like Robert, whatever his last name is. Can't think of his last name.
Robert Woods.
Yeah, Robert Woods. I like their Tyler Hodges, I think, is their tight end. The receiving core is kind of underrated.
Higbee.
They have Higbee.
Yeah.
They have Jalen Ramsey, the best corner in the league hands down. They have Aaron Donald, best edge rusher.
They had the two best defensive players in the league.
Yeah, like the Rams are always they're always in the talk for the playoffs. Always. I think what they need to do is maybe
I
hit
think
on
Stafford's
another.
going to bring a lot to that team. That is actually really good for them.
I agree. I think they need to look at secondary, safety, maybe another corner, a linebacker, and maybe O-line, and go from there. Detroit. Hmm. Hmm. I'll put Detroit D tier. Detroit is notoriously a bad football organization. You typically go there for your career to die. Jared Goff is there, so they'll probably be a little bit relevant. I won't take a lot away from Jared Goff because he did go to the Super Bowl. I think Dan Campbell is actually a really good coach, so I think he might be able to turn them around. They need a lot of help on defense, and now they need a lot of help on offense, like in terms of wide receiver. I think T.J. Hawkinson's a really good tight end, probably like a top 10 tight end in the league. They just need a lot of help. Could definitely be an F tier. However, I'm putting them in D tier just because of Dan Campbell being a good football coach and Jared Goff being on that team. Browns are A tier. I think them popping their cherry last year in the playoffs, I think Baker is finally going to start being the guy he needs to be, because right now he's just a game manager for Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubbs. I think that's a really good 1-2 punch. The receiving core is unbelievable. Their tight end situation is unbelievable, and their defense is just going to get better. I think they need to go get a linebacker and some corner depth, and probably another wide receiver in case Odell decides to break his leg in half again. But definitely think they're A tier. I think they popped their cherry. I think they're going to be up there. I think they're going to win the division next year. They're definitely up there. The Jets. Put them S tier. Just kidding. I'm going to put the Jets definitely as terrible.
Hold on. No, listen, you have to put them above Jacksonville right now because of Sam Darnold, right?
Yeah, you're right. I'll put them above Jacksonville because Jacksonville doesn't have Trevor Lawrence yet. Okay, so New York. I don't think Sam Darnold's a bad quarterback. I think he was put in a very, very shitty situation, very terrible situation. He's never
I don't know why they didn't sign Juju. Why did they not sign Juju?
I have no idea.
They should have.
The best weapon Sam Darnold has had was Rodney, right? Rodney Anderson? Robbie Anderson. There we go. Robbie Anderson was his best weapon. And when he had a weapon that he could throw to, Sam Darnold performed well, and he had the Jets at 7-9. Last year, he had no one to throw to. He had no run game. He had no O-line. The best O-lineman was a rookie, and Michael Beckham, who played fantastic. And their defense is laughable. This team is in shambles, and it's definitely not Sam Darnold's fault. So I'm going to put them here in terrible. For now, Baltimore, put them in A tier. They somehow always hit in the draft late in the draft for defensive players. They always find good defensive players. Lamar Jackson, got to give him his respect. He's the reason why they're even relevant, really. Um, Running back Jackson. Uh, I really think that for the Baltimore Ravens to take the next step, they need to get a wide receiver. That should be their number one concern is wide receiver. They need to get another wide receiver, maybe two wide receivers, so Lamar Jackson can actually throw the ball. Because right now, Mark Andrews probably a top 3 tight end in the league right now. He's doing it all for him. Atlanta, terrible. I think Matt Ryan's laughable. I think he's done. I think at 4 they would be smart to draft a quarterback. That's what they should do. Draft a quarterback. Let Matt Ryan play out this year of the contract and release him next year. Or try to find a trade partner for him. They need O-line. They need a running back, and they need a lot of help on defense. They're right now they're in a big rebuild. I would not. They probably won't even get that bad until Matt Ryan leaves. So they're just terrible. Kansas City is S tier. I really want to put them in A tier, but I'm putting them S tier strictly because of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is top 3 quarterback right now in the league. I'm not going to put him better than Tom Brady, and I'm not going to put him better than Aaron Rodgers. But Patrick Mahomes, he's an absolute animal. He has the potential to be the best quarterback in NFL history if he keeps playing the way he's playing and doesn't get hurt. Kansas City lost a lot. They need a lot of help on O-line. They need some help on defense because that defense got shredded in the Super Bowl. He probably needs another wide receiver to throw to besides Tyreek Hill because the amount of brick hands that I saw in the Super Bowl II is ridiculous. Yeah, that's it for Kansas City. Best team in the NFL, Tampa Bay. Brought everybody back from the Super Bowl run. They have the GOAT, Tom Brady, the best quarterback to ever do it. And until he actually retires or until he is 6 feet under, whichever happens first, they're probably going to be the best team in the NFL for the next few years because it does not look like Tom Brady's slowing down. If I was Tampa, I'd probably get an edge rusher, a better edge rusher, to pair with Shaq what's his name? Shaq Barrett. Maybe like a D-line edge rusher in the 3-4 system. Some corner depth, maybe an O-lineman. But they are a stacked football team right now. Miami, C tier. Put them like right here. I don't think Tua Tagovailoa is the answer. I don't think he has a strong arm. I did not think he looked good last year playing. I did not think he was worthy of a top 6, top 5 pick, whatever it was. I don't think he's a good quarterback. But however, their defense got better. They probably need a target O-line, wide receiver, and definitely a running back. They definitely need a running back. I do think they target that in the first round with Najee Harris. But they're on the brink of making the playoffs. They're on the brink of being a good football team. Raiders. I think the Raiders are definitely C tier. They're on the brink of making the playoffs. Derek Carr is not a bad quarterback. Last year they had a top 10 offense. I think their offense is really good. They need help on defense. They need corner, they need safety, they need linebacker, they need edge rusher. They need it all. That's what they need to hit on in the draft. If they can just get somebody that can cover, just somebody, and somebody that could rush the quarterback, they're already a better football team, and they're already looking at being like 8-8, 9-7. So,
their offense is like low key scary good.
It is, dude. Like it is
Josh
terrifying.
Jacobs is a freak.
Yes.
I love Darren Waller. And
yes.
Who's the little white guy that they have? Our wide receiver.
Yes, like they.
What's his name? Renfro? Hunter Renfro?
Yeah, Hunter Renfro.
Yeah.
But I think they have the potential to make the playoffs next year for sure. I don't know why the Rams are on here twice.
I was trying to figure that out. I was waiting to see what you were going to say about that.
I think the Titans are a good football team. I'm going to have to put them in B tier probably the best B tier
You don't
team.
like the signing. You don't like the signing of Bud Dupree.
I like the signing of Bud Dupree, but they lost. They lost their corners, man. They lost Malcolm Butler. They lost what's his name, Arian Jackson, right?
Yeah.
Like they lost their corners, and I don't know if there's anybody there that's going to step up and help them play. Like I do like the Bud Dupree signing, but I think them losing their corners is going to make their defense a little worse. Um, like I said, if they hit on a corner in the draft, I can put them in A tier. So I will make another video for it. But yeah, they're definitely there. I like Ryan Tannehill a lot. Derrick Henry's probably one of the best, if not the best running back in the league right now. Have a really good O line. The wide receiver core is kind of stacked.
They're underrated a little bit too, but
Yeah, but they
they're
did
good.
they did lose Corey Davis though, and they also lost Jonnu Smith. So another reason why they're down here in B. Steelers F tier. Just
Kidding.
kidding.
Nice.
Kidding. I'll put them in B tier. Low B tier team. They lost their entire defense
Dude,
essentially.
honestly, they need to be top of C tier. They
All
don't
right.
even deserve to be up there.
All right, I'll put him in C tier. If you guys didn't notice by that reaction, Chris is a Steelers fan. They lost a lot. They
I hate it.
lost.
I hate it.
They lost Mike Hilton.
I
They
hate
lost
it.
Steve
Oh,
Nelson.
I hate it.
They
I
lost
hate
Bud
it.
Dupree,
I hate it.
and they're bringing
Here.
Big Ben back. So
No, honestly, no. Listen. Okay, listen. The Bud Dupree. Okay, we have Highsmith. I think Highsmith plays well. Is gonna play well enough. But the corner issues is the issue. Like, why?
yeah,
We do not draft corners well. Why are we getting rid of the the two guys that made our defense what it was?
yeah,
Because it wasn't as good. Like, once Mika came, it put it all together. But the whole squad had to be there.
yeah.
Just stupid.
So I think they need to go after corner for sure. Another edge rusher. O line for sure. They need O line help. Um, I think the running back situation is kind of weird, but I think they have somebody who could step up if James Conner sucks again. Hold on, how many teams have we gone through?
Oh,
1,
no, James
2,
Conner
3,
we
4,
didn't
5,
resign him.
6,
He's a free agent.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, last team's Washington football team. They're definitely a C tier team. They won the division last year. I think their defense is super good. Not really elite yet. I have to see how they play this year. Um, we brought in Ryan Fitzmagic as a bridge quarterback. I really like Taylor Heineke. I like what he did in the playoffs against Tampa Bay. I like Antonio Gibson. Scary Terry's good. I think what they really need help with the most is they need another. I think they need one more wide receiver. We brought in Curtis Samuel, but I think we need like another outside wide receiver, like a big body guy that can go up and catch the football. And I think we need like corner depth for sure. We also brought in William Jackson, who's a number one corner, so that's going to help us out. I think we made some moves to show that we're moving in the right direction, but at 19, if Mac Jones is available, I want us to draft him and just let him sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick and go from there. But this is my tier list right here. I think I hit it on the head for the most part. I think the only one that Chris didn't like was the Cowboy one. But
Oh, and I don't like Baltimore being all the way up there either.
well, yeah, well, you're a Steelers fan. That makes sense.
I hate 'em.
But I think this tier list is pretty accurate. I think that there's a lot of teams on the brink of being good or being bad. Um, most of the teams here in this C tier list, like pretty much the top from probably from almost at Oakland, from Las Vegas up to the Steelers. They're the teams that can go up to the B tier, and be like constantly making the playoffs and stuff. These are probably the teams that's going to be on the outside looking in, trying to make the playoffs. Um, I think from here down, they can easily go to bad. I think Washington could easily go to bad. I think New York can easily go to bad. I think Minnesota can, Dallas, and the Los Angeles Chargers. They can easily go to bad. if they don't hit correctly in the draft. So this is my NFL tier list, and I'll catch you later.